Welcome to the webinar session series. Today we have two sessions made available to you. One on capillary electrophoresis and its applications in the area of biopharmaceuticals. On Biacore and its applications, you will hear more about FcRn study in the second session. Before I begin the session, let me introduce myself. My name is Ravi Kravidi. I head the CAPS facility. CAPS stands for Center for Advanced Protein Studies. It is a national laboratory funded by BIORAC under its prestigious National Biopharma Mission. The facility is opened by Honorable Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Swaroop, and Honorable Managing Director, Syngene International Limited, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. CAPS facility is located in Syngene campus, Bangalore. The facility hosts a wide range of advanced analytical equipment, including high-resolution mass spectrometers, capillary electrophoresis equipment, image capillary electrophoresis equipment, a wide range of HPLCs, and we have a bioassay laboratory located in the facility. Before I begin the sessions, I would like to introduce you the panelists of the session. I would like to start with Dr. Prashant. Dr. Prashant Daur holds a PhD in Life Sciences from Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur. He is associated with SciEx as an application support manager. His core expertise is in capillary electrophoresis, mass spectrometry, gene therapy, and vaccine-related applications. He also has extensive experience in the area of proteomics, metabolomics, and biopharma-related applications. I thank Dr. Prashant for accepting the invite. We'll be looking forward to your presentation, Prashant. Thank you. I would like to introduce the next speaker, my colleague, Balaji. Balaji Damodaran holds an MD degree in Industrial Biotechnology from BITS Pilani. He is associated with Syngene since over 2 years. His core expertise is in the area of analytical method development, focusing on HPLC and mass spectrometry. He has worked at various organizations, including Reliance Life Sciences, Lupin Biotech, Stellus Biopharma, etc. Welcome to the session, Balaji. Thank you. I'll introduce the next speaker, Pooja. Pooja holds MTech in Bioprocess Technology from UDCT. She is associated with Syngene close to the last 3 years. Her core expertise is in the area of analytical method development, and she's been focusing on the capillary electrophoresis and the HPLC. She will walk you through a few applications, what she has developed in the laboratory. Thanks, Pooja. We have another speaker, Praveena. Hi, Praveena. Praveena holds a master's degree in biotechnology from the University of Hyderabad. She is associated with Syngene since the last 2 years. Her core expertise is in capillary electrophoresis and plate-based methods. Thanks, Praveena. And thank you, everyone. Looking forward to a great conversation from you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for the nice introduction.
So thanks, Dr. Ravi, for the brief introduction and giving me this opportunity to present on the CE application. So today I am going to present basic introduction of capillary electrophoresis. So this is the overview of my talk. I will begin with introduction of electrophoresis and will discuss how electrophoresis works. Later on, I will take you to different applications of capillary electrophoresis in biopharma industries. I am going to discuss 2 applications. The first one is CESDS analysis for molecular weight estimation and IgG purity and heterogeneity analysis. In the second section, in the second part, I would like to talk about application for charge variance analysis, and here we'll discuss on capillary isoelectric focusing and capillary zone electrophoresis. So what is electrophoresis? So if you see the word electrophoresis, electro means voltage or applied electric field, and phoresis is the Greek word that means separations. So that means if you apply electric field, you will get the separation in capillary electrophoresis. So these pictures talk about the process of electrophoresis, which is the movement of charged molecules under the influence of the applied electric field. The important concept from this picture is that everything that carries a charge moves inside the capillary. In other words, not only the analyte of interest is moving, but the buffer additives, sample matrix, and all the components are moving as well. So in electrophoresis, we have two different electrodes, and anode and cathode. Anode is positive charge and cathode is negative charge. So positive ions will move towards the cathode and negative ions will move towards the anode. This slide illustrates the manufacturing process of recombinant therapeutic proteins. As we all know, manufacturing process involves different stages, and it starts from cloning, then transfection, cell expansion, followed by process development and production. So the characterization and validation of protein during all stages are very important. And C, as an analytical technology, play a very important role for these characterization studies. Shown here is the typical structure of IgG molecule. For this molecule, we need to ensure safety and efficacy by understanding critical quality attributes and to define manufacturing process. But unfortunately, the characterization and validation is challenging because of large, complex, and dynamic structure and diverse population of this molecule. This slide shows the P800 Plus automated capillary electrophoresis system. On the top left, you can see the cartridge where we have a capillary for the separations. Then we have a 32-carat software with Windows 10 to control the system and to analyze the data. We do have a liquid capillary coolant in the system, which will give you reproducible data. Inside capillary electrophoresis system, we have three different detector combinations, which are UV, photodiode array, and laser-induced fluorescence. You do have a temperature control for the samples, so that this facility and this advantages of having in this system will provide you stability of the data. Then we have buffer trays where you have to put all the buffers, and then we have high pressure pump for DNA and protein gels. So this is the overview of the hardware part of electrophoresis instrument. Now we'll move into the capillary electrophoresis SGS applications. Here will I talk about capillary electrophoresis methods for CSDS molecular weight estimation and for the purity and heterogeneity analysis. So capillary gel electrophoresis is the adoption of traditional slab gel into capillary using linear polymer in the solution to create a molecular C-beam. This allows analyte, which has similar charge to size ratio, to be resolved by difference in the hydrodynamic size. This technology is commonly used for proteins and DNA analysis. These methods allow to separate molecules between 10 kilodalton to 225 kilodalton. The separation is based on the difference in analyte migration into the gel matrix and solely based on hydrodynamic size differences. However, to characterize by molecular mass, the same charge on the protein and peptides are required. This is achieved by using an anionic detergent, sodium butyl sulfate. SGS makes complex with protein in a constant ratio of 1:1.4, and upon applying the voltage, protein molecules move and longer protein moves slowly throughout the gel. Shown in this electrophoregram is the separation of molecular weight size standards. The ladder of molecular weight markers included in the SGS MW kit. This data illustrates the broad range of separation in capillary electrophoresis. This method is used to analyze the size of the molecules with good reproducibility. In addition to its ability to determine of size and concentration, this method can also be used for impurity analysis. Shown in this electrophoregram, the resolution and quantification of 0.1 versus 1% of lysozyme. This high sensitivity method is a gold standard for impurity analysis application by capillary electrophoresis. Now we will cover the second application, which is a purity and heterogeneity analysis by the same CSDS platform. The IgG purity and heterogeneity assay can be used in reduced and non-reduced form. The reduced IgG application is used to detect the glycan occupancy. In this method, protein is denatured in the presence of beta-mercaptolithanol. The non-reduced application is used to determine the monomeric purity of IgG. The SDS application is completely automated, quantitative, which provides high resolution in precision data when compared to traditional SDS page methods. So what results should you expect when separating IgG molecules by CSDS by using IgG-Kit? So the application includes a validated operating protocol to prepare the sample and all the reagents necessary to separate both non-reduced and reduced monoclonal antibodies. This kit also includes IgG control that can be used as a system suitability. So when we are running reducing conditions, we can get heavy chain, light chain, non-glycosylated heavy chain, lower molecular weight impurities that fall between the heavy chain and light chain, and finally non-reducing products. For non-reducing conditions, you can get IgG dimer, inject IgG glycosylated and non-glycosylated peaks, 2 heavy chain, 1 light chain peak, 2 heavy 1 chain molecule, 1 light chain, 1 heavy chain product, 1 heavy chain, and 1 light chain. In IgG application, there are 2 different methods. One is IgGHR, which stands for high resolution, and then second method is HS, which is high speed method. So if you're looking for a high resolution data, so you can choose high resolution speed method, and if you are considering the speed, so you can choose a high speed method. So whenever you are running high resolution method, in this method we use 20 centimeter capillary length from inlet side for the separation, and all the buffers should be filled inside the inlet buffer trays. For IgG high speed method, we use 10 centimeter capillary length from outlet side for separation, and we keep all the buffers required on outlet side. This slide demonstrates the right to left capillary configuration for high speed separation. For rapid determination of glycan occupancy and monomeric purity, in this configuration, 10 centimeter capillary length used to separate the molecule. The separation time for this method is only 15 minutes. In this section, I will talk about the sample preparations. So for IgG application, the recommended protein concentration is 0.2 to 2 mg per ml. The final salt concentration should be less than 50 millimolar. Since we are doing electrokinetic injection in CSDS application, so salt concentration should be less than 50 millimolar. Some of these points need to be considered to get the better results. Like as we discussed, the recommended sample concentration should be 1 mg per ml. If the sample concentration is higher than 1 mg, then the telling peaks will come. Concentration of salt should be less than 50 millimolar. Beta-mercaptolithanol is much denser than the other solutions, and it will go to the bottom of the vial. So make sure that you mix the solution with finger flicks and do not vortex the solutions. This is very important point. Make sure when denaturing the sample in water bath, the level of the water bath is above the level of the sample solution into the vial. And after denaturation, you have to cool down the sample at room temperature, and then you can load your sample in the capillary electrophoresis instrument. You can also centrifuge to avoid the evaporations and to mix the sample. And this is also very important to get rid of the bubbles. Place no less than 100 microliter in the PCR vial for sample injections. Be careful while pipetting to eliminate bubbles produced by SDS. And also you have to make sure that there are no bubbles at the bottom of the sample vials. Here is an example of reduced analysis of IgG molecule. The left-hand picture shows the electrophoregram obtained on IgG high-speed method. This electrophoregram shows the baseline separation of light chain, small fragments, heavy chain, and peak of thioether. The most important point is the separation time, which is less than 15 minutes. On the right-hand side, we can see the percent RSD of migration time and area. So this talks about the reproducibility of this high-speed method. This example shows a non-reduced analysis of IgG molecules. In this electrophotogram, we can see the separation of different fragments like light chain, heavy chain, 2 heavy chain, 1 light chain, non-glycosylate heavy chain, and aggregates. The high-speed method takes less than 18 minutes for non-reduced analysis. With this information, we can calculate the monomeric purity of IgG. If you see example in this electrophotogram, the monomeric purity was 94.45%. The right-hand side picture shows the reproducibility data and percent RSG of migration time and area, which is 0.33 and 0.32 respectively. Capillary storage is also a very important part. So do not let your capillary ends dry out once you have used the capillary, because after running your sample, the capillary is filled with the SDS gel. So you have to run the capillary storage or shutdown method before storing your capillary. Now move to charge variance analysis by capillary zone electrophoresis and capillary isoelectric focusing. Before we begin, it is critical to understand why charge heterogeneity is important in biopharma. Charge heterogeneity is employed in a number of analytical processes, including clone identification, characterization, stability determination, determination of protein microheterogeneity, and effect of post-translational modification on charge of antibody. Furthermore, the analysis can be used to separate protein variants, to determine point mutation, and to check the lot consistency. These are the few examples of PTMs, post-translational modifications, which are responsible for charge heterogeneity of biopharmaceuticals. Some of the examples are sialations, deamidations, C-terminal lysine heterogeneity, aspartate isomerizations, and so on. So let's discuss first the capillary isoelectric focusing CIF application. So what is CIF? So CIF is an electrophoretic technique to separate proteins or peptides based on their isoelectric points. In capillary isoelectric focusing, there are 3 different steps. The first is loading, second is focusing, and third is mobilization. We also need to understand what is PI. So PI is the isoelectric point in which the pH at which the net charge of a protein or peptide is 0. This image demonstrates how the pH of the surrounding environment affects protein charge. In this example, protein has a PI at 6.8. Therefore, it is placed in the surrounding medium, which has a pH of 6.8, and the net charge of the protein is 0. However, when we place protein in the surrounding pH below its PI 6.8, the charge of the proteins is positive. On the other hand, when the surrounding pH is high, then its PI 6.8, the net charge on the protein is negative. In capillary electrophoresis, the proteins or peptides separated by isoelectric point. So in this picture, we can see there is a pH gradient formed inside the capillary from 4 to 10. And based on the isoelectric point, we can separate all the proteins present in the sample. So the first step in capillary isoelectric focusing is sample loading. During this time, the pressure is used from inlet to outlet to load the sample mix in the capillary. The sample mix is a composed not only sample but number of other compounds necessary for analysis, including gel, infolytes, markers, and stabilizers. After the sample loading, the focusing steps begin. During this time, the electric field drives the hydronium and hydroxyl ions in the capillary. This titrates compounds towards their isoelectric point, PI. As a result, charge variants migrate and focus on their surrounding pH within the gradient. The focusing step when the concentration of plus and minus charges are same, or in the other words, the steady state reached. This is characterized by the current, which reaching minimum value during CIF application. It is also important to understand that the focusing is a fundamentally bidirectional movement of charged molecules. That is because the capillary is filled with a sample, and when focusing starts, the molecule situated behind the detector points start to focus on both cathodic and anodic side and then move and merge into one peak at isoelectric point. The last step in CIF is the mobilization. The focused bands now stationary in the pH gradient that need to be displaced by either hydrodynamic or electrophoresis force to get detected. This electrophoretic force creates by chemical mobilization. In chemical mobilization, the catholyte is replaced by weak acetic acid and electric field is applied throughout the capillary. During mobilization, hydronium ions are introduced from the anolyte into the capillary, while acetate ions are introduced at the cathodic site. As a result, the pH gradient is titrated from basic to acidic, and the protein samples bands are detected as they obtain a positive charge and migrates towards the cathode. This diagram shows the separation of 5 PI markers. These PI markers can be used as a system stability, and this comes with the kit. From 0 to 15 minutes is the focusing steps. The peaks between 2 and 8 minutes are cathodic pre-peaks. And from 15 to 14 minutes, all the PI markers will mobilize, and we can get the separation of PI markers and sample in this region. So once you get the data, this diagram shows once you get the data, these 5 PI markers entered in the qualitative analysis window in this software. This allows PI determination of unknown charge species. Furthermore, the linearity of fit between PI markers and migration time we can see here is 0.999, which allows to determine the correct PI values. In this section, I will talk about capillary isoelectric focusing separation of maps in the pH range of 7 to 10. So these are the combinations of different sample combinations for separating CIF in pH range of 7 to 10. So we are going to use 200 microliter of urea CIF gel, then arginine and amino diacetic. You can find the concentration and the required volume in this slide. And for the separation, we are going to use analyte, catholyte, and chemical mobilizer. So normally for this application, we used focusing 25 kV voltage for 15 minutes. And for mobilization, we use 30 kV for 30 minutes. This electrophotogram shows a separation of 3 different maps which falls between 7 to 10 range. The ultra high resolution CIF method is capable to determine the PI value of different molecules. And all the 3 maps with different charge species are well separated in these examples. In this example, we can see the reproducibility of map 2 samples. In this example, we can also see the PI markers, which is coming. The PI marker what we have used in this application was PI 9.99 and PI 7. In between, we have sample map 2. So data shown here represent the PI value of 3 different maps and their charge variants. The size platform method is capable to determine PI value of all kind of monoclonal antibodies with little to no method optimization. So in this slide, we can see all these 3 maps can be run with the platform method, and we can differentiate the charge variants. So if you have a sample which falls between pH 5 to 7, so we do have different methods, and these are the conditions to use for those kind of samples. This electrophotogram shows peak integrations of mouse IgG1 separated by capillary isoelectric focusing. In this example, 3 PI markers, PI 7, 6.7, and 5.5 were used to calculate the PI value of samples. The high resolution CIF is able to separate all isoforms of IgG. And we can see in this picture, we can see all the isoforms different isoforms like IgG A, B, C, and T for this particular sample. Intermediate precisions can be obtained by these applications, and we can see here this was done on different instruments and performed by different users. So across the region, we got a very good intermediate precision in capillary isoelectric focusing application. So CIF is not only the application for SciX capable of determining the charge heterogeneity of any samples. Capillary zone electrophoresis method is developed by scientists from the biotech industry to determine the charge variance of monoclonal antibody. So first, we have to understand that why capillary zone electrophoresis is a method of choice for charge heterogeneity analysis. The CZE is a high-speed C method for charge variance analysis. Rapid charge variant analysis. Rapid charge analysis by this application can resolve a native state molecules charge variations with little to no method development and provide higher resolution than image capillary isoelectric focusing or anion exchange chromatography. So the separation is based on charge to hydrodynamic ratio. This method provides a fast, powerful separation used to quantify charge variance with a buffer that serves as both as separation matrix and dynamic coating for a bare fused silica capillary. In addition, no sample dilution buffer is required. Simply dilute the sample in water, make it 1 mg per ml, and you are ready to get your separation. So in this slide, you can see we have two different electrodes, anode and cathode, positive and negative electrode. And inside the capillary, which is a golden color, you can see different molecules with a different charge. So in this application, the separation is based on charge to hydrodynamic radius. This method can easily be applied to therapeutic proteins such as antibody drug conjugates, preclinical monoclonal antibodies, and fusion proteins with little to no method development. And here we have one example from trastuzumab, and which was separated with a very good RSD, and we got RSD less than equal to 1.4. So in the picture on the left hand side, we can see the profile of charge variance of trastuzumab, which was run on CZE, and the run time is less than 5 minutes. On this table, we can also see the standard deviations, percent RSD for acidic variance, mean main peak, and basic variance. So basically, you can also quantify your different charge variance by using capillary zone electrophoresis. This table provides the comparison of capillary zone electrophoresis with pH gradient CEX. And if you see in this table, the resolution is good for both the method. We can get the good resolution in both the method. The main advantage here is the analysis time, which is 5 to 8 minutes for CZE and 40 to 60 minutes for CEX. And then another advantage having CZE is it will use very minimum amount of buffer. So it is a platform method. This is applicable for all kind of maps. So no method development is required for capillary zone electrophoresis. And this is again a very high throughput method. So in 12 hours, you can roughly analyze 72 samples, where in CEX it is only 14. So in conclusion, in summary, so CE is always good for polar charge or chiral analyze. And when we compare this technology with other separation technology, C always offers you highly efficient separations, better resolutions, ready to use platform methods, shorter analysis times, simplicity and precision in the data, lower cost per sample, and minimal solvent and reagents consumptions. So this is all about the capillary electrophoresis. Now I will hand over to the next presentation, Balaji. Balaji, over to you.
Thank you, Prashant. Thank you for presenting about the instrument capability, and we do also get a lot of application support from you. We do also want to thank you for this occasion.
Thank you.
So now I'll start ahead with Syngene's presentation, where we have some application data, some of the techniques what Prashant has talked about. Using that, we have generated actual data. Those data will be run through. Along with my colleagues Pravina and Pooja, we will run you through specifically charge variant analysis applications using the capillary electrophoresis for biopharmaceutical development. Over to you, Pravina. So my colleague Pravina will go run through the slides with the data explaining about charge variant analysis for monoclonal antibodies.
Thank you, Balaji. So I'll be giving an overview and the data which we have generated in the CAPS Lab Syngene on the CZD. So this is an overview slide of the why we do CZD as such. So the post-translational modifications and the C-terminal lysine modifications and deamidations, etc., they add on the charge variants, and therefore it is important to have a quality check on the product, which the drug product. For that, charge heterogeneity testing is a critical aspect in the biopharmaceutical industry. And the basic principle, as Prashant has already explained, the separation of the charge variants is based on the net charge and size ratio in an electric field. And the positively charged protein, if the buffer pH is less than the pi of analyte, protein is positively charged and will migrate from anode to cathode. The variants which migrate faster are named as basic variants, and the variants which migrate slower are termed as acidic variants. And the charge variants are detected using the UV or PDA detector, and the analysis is done using the 32-carat software. And the workflow goes as follows. We have used the bare fused silica capillary from SciEx, the total length of which is 30 centimeters, and the effective length, which is the length from the beginning to the detector, is 30 centimeters. The internal diameter of the capillary is 50 micrometers. And we have used here UV detector for analysis and 32-carat software. The sample preparation was pretty easy. We have diluted the samples to 3 mg per ml using milky water. And the background electrolyte composition is 6-amino caproic acid, which is a zwitterionic background electrolyte, and tween 20, which usually prevents the or reduces the adsorption of protein to the capillary, and theta, which is triethylene tetraamine, is a capillary passivating reagent, and we have the pH of the buffer is adjusted to 5.7 using acetic acid. And the analysis is pretty simple. It has the preconditioning step and a separation step. And this is the data we have generated of the NIST map. Here you can see the well-resolved peaks of basic variants and acidic variants, and as well as the mean peak. You can see the buffer peak also. When you zoom in the profile, first you will see the basic variants resolved pretty well, and then the mean peak, and as well as the acidic variants. And the analysis is, the calculation and analysis is done using the 32-carat software, and we can see the percentage of basic variants are 11.9 and 16.4% of acidic variants, and nearly 72% of mean peak. Next, along with NIST map, we have also the trastuzumab data, where it is also it also has a well-resolved basic and acidic variants, and along with the buffer peak. And when you zoom in the trastuzumab profiles, you can calculate the percentage of basic variants, which are about 2.8%, and 27% of acidic variants, and 70% of mean peak. And along with trastuzumab, we have also run another standard map, which is pembrolizumab. That is also using the same sample prep method and the same methodology. The pembrolizumab is also well resolved into charge variants. And the zoom-in profile, you can clearly see the well-resolved peaks. And you can see 17% of basic variants were calculated and 16.2% of acidic variants and 66% of mean peak. And so the CZE, you can see from the profiles that all the charge variants, it's a highly robust technique with for native state analysis with high speed and high resolution. And as Prashant has explained, it has minimal sample preparation and little to no method development as such. And you can get the very good profiles in a very short time. So moving on to the CIF applications, and to Balaji now to explain the CIF applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Praveena. Thank you for running through the profiles. And as you can see, CZ is very short and it can be used as a high throughput method depending upon the requirement for different stages of biopharmaceutical development. Now we will run through some applications or some data which are specifically obtained for CIF, which is also one of the application of capillary electrophoresis. My colleague Pooja will run through the data, which are also obtained using a capillary electrophoresis, but it's a different kind of a machine, but the application is same capillary electrophoresis. Over to you, Pooja. I think you are on mute. Your voice is not clear.
Sorry. So I was on the mute. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, Prashant, and thank you, Praveena, about explaining about the different techniques which can be used using the SciX. But now I will be focusing on the another instrument, which is also the I can say the which will also give us a similar kind of outcome, that is the charge variant analysis, that is Morris. So here, as we can say that for the as compared to the CEX, what is the difference in the Morris instrument? Prashant has explained that the detection will be happen in the CEX by the elution, but in case of the Morris instrument, the detection will be the captured by the camera. So as we know that there will be the sample will be loaded on the capillary, then the pre-focusing time will be there, and finally the focusing time will be there for the separation of the molecules. But this separation will be actually detected by the camera. So that's why this is the imaged capillary electrophoresis technique. It is also very user-friendly technique where we are using the cartridge, and in cartridge itself we are adding the acidic electrolytes and the basic electrolyte, and we have used the NIST map, and we use the Morris instrument, and we have seen the different charge variant of the NIST map analyzed using the Morris. So during the sample preparation, we have used the master mix composition, where we have used the methyl cellulose, and here to detect the exact PI of the molecule, we have added two different internal marker which PI was known. So in case of the NIST map, we have used around 8.4 PI marker. That will be the helpful for the identifying at the lower side, and whereas higher PI marker we have used, that is the 10.1. As theoretically we were knowing that this map PI is around 9. So that's why depending upon that, we have selected this low molecular PI marker and the high molecular PI marker. And we got a very good profile here. And here again, the similar technique will apply during the pre-focusing time. The voltage will be applied, that is 1500 volt will be applied, and then during the focusing time, this voltage will be increased to 3000. And this time also help us to get the well resolved peak. So as we can see in this particular profile, we were able to see the distinct peak which were obtained using the NIST map. The acidic peak presence was there, then the main peak, and then basic peak. So we can say that in the NIST map there are the presence of the different acidic and the basic species, and we can able to identify quickly using the CEIF. And similarly, this technique is also helpful to analyze the PI of the molecule. So it is very quick technique for the clone selection also. And apart from that, as we have seen during upstream development, there may be the chances of the formation of the lysis variants that also can be able to detect it using the CEIF technique. So here we also has performed one experiment to check the presence of the lysis variant. So we had one particular map. So we have taken that map. We have treated that map with the carboxypeptidase B. So carboxypeptidase B, it is an enzyme which will helpful for the cleavage of the C-terminal lysis. So and then we have taken the sample with carboxypeptidase B and without carboxypeptidase, and we have checked it using the CEIF. So this profile, it is the overlay of the sample. So the blue profile, the blue electrophotogram, it is the with carboxypeptidase, and the black one, it is without carboxypeptidase. And clearly we can see that after addition of the carboxypeptidase, there was a decrease in the basic variants, and this was easily identified using the Morris CEIF technique. So this is one of the application we have tested over here, and we also got the good result. And you can also see from the percentage percentage table also given below, where in the control sample the basic variant was 23%, and after treatment with the carboxypeptidase, this basic species percentage was dropped down to the 4.9%. So we can say that there is a presence of the lysis variant. So likewise, we can use this technique for other application also. I'm just handovering these slides to Balaji, so he can conclude on this slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Pravina. I think we have covered the capability of capillary electrophoresis, wherein these methods are very short. In fact, within 15 minutes of runtime. So they can actually run a lot of samples in a short time, so that you get more information about the process. So especially where high throughput is needed, we have the capacity to do that. And specifically, the charge variant analysis is one of the useful tool in the MAPS bioprocess development at various stages. Some of the applications in the upstream, or like if you are interested in studying the different isoforms, and based on that you want to decide the media components or feeding strategies, you will get useful information through CZD analysis. And as Prashant covered, this is also used for cell line selection or clone identification, depending upon the application you can use in the upstream stage. When it comes to downstream, basically you are interested in designing your chromatography or choosing a resin which can remove or retain a particular charge variant. So you may be interested in getting a feedback on those. So that is where CZD is also applicable. And some of the post-translational modifications which can induce charge variants can also be monitored and then used as a feedback tool for downstream purification. And when it comes to formulation and long-term storage, CZ is one of the good tool for stability indicating technique, and it also gives with over a period of time what happens to the molecule. Based on that information, you will be in a position to select appropriate stabilizer or formulation excipients, which will help in stabilizing the molecule in the long-term storage. So overall, I think at Syngene we do have enough bandwidth and capacity to handle anything under the umbrella of capillary electrophoresis with multiple orthogonal techniques and equipments. So I think this is our capacity, and I hope it was a useful webinar for everyone, and you got something to learn from us. Thank you. And over to you, Ravi.
I would like to thank for sharing their extensive experiences in the area of capillary electrophoresis and the Biaco technologies. I hope the audience had a rewarding, enriching experience from these learnings. Since it's a recorded webinar session, we do not have an opportunity to take questions. I request you all and encourage to visit the website of Syngene International Limited. You would see CAP's website. Please post your questions and we will soon get back to you. Thank you very much for your interest and looking forward to future interactions. Thank you.